Hello, or ni hao, as our Chinese Formula One. Did you know, actually, the Chinese Grand Prix is the cheapest one that you can go to for a 3-day weekend package? It's like 130 quid for tickets.
That's not bad.
You do have to get to Shanghai.
Yeah, I was going to say, and China feels a long way away.
Yeah, it's not just round the corner. But anyway, my name's Dan. I'm joined by Alex. We're Formula One supporters, fans, supporters.
Shit talkers.
Supporters, because that makes you sound nice, doesn't it? Like Lewis talking about Isaac, he's a supporter, he's not a fan. That's like us, we support Formula One. And we're here to talk about the Chinese Grand Prix because that happened over the weekend. We're now 2 weeks into the season, we've done 2 races, people have got points, and Liam Lawson probably won't have a job in another week.
Yeah, we'll get to Liam in a minute, won't we? Because there's a bit to talk about there, and there was also a little bit to I mean, we sort of came out with a bit of Liam chat, and everybody decided that how dare we jump on the bandwagon so quickly, and now that bandwagon is full. It's a full cart. But yeah, there's, to be fair, plenty to talk about from the Chinese Grand Prix for 2 races that very little happened in. But there's a decent amount to take away from that. We've got some chat about Colapinto is back on the menu. George still exists. Behrman had a cracker. Lewis had a cracker for half of it and then absolutely cracked for the other half of it. Oscar was just there, and Yuki's cursed. And then we've got some flag chat to round it all out, which is I know what people come for.
I mean, Yuki's not cursed yet.
There's a lot of chat that Yuki might be cursed.
This curse gets worse when he gets given the keys to that second Red Bull car.
Yes.
I do like the idea that the Formula One cars have keys. I know they don't, but I like the idea that they exist.
Yeah. Or they've got like the push button start, like they've got to have the key in their pocket, and then you got to, like, if it's not inside the car, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea. But anyway, yeah. Should we? I guess we better just start with a sprint, shall we?
Yeah, we'll go in order.
I was away over the weekend, so I didn't get the pleasure of watching the entire weekend worth of activities. I was reliant on F1 YouTube highlights. I don't have the TV thing. And to be honest with you, for the first time in my life, I felt like the highlights for the sprint race were too long.
Yeah,
Nothing
it
happened. I mean, I'm thrilled to pieces that Lewis won. That's so cool, and I think really nice, and kind of just made everybody feel again a little bit kind of warm and fuzzy inside. Good for Ferrari. Apparently, he got pineapple pizza for them, which I don't think went down particularly well, but that was great. That was just nice, wasn't it? It was nice, fuzzy Formula One goodness.
I'm going to ask a question about your nice, fuzzy Formula One goodness. As a Hamilton fan, and sort of now a Ferrari fan as well by proxy.
Yes.
Did it kind of spoil the moment of Hamilton's first win in a Ferrari that it came in a sprint race?
I don't know, because we had that last year, didn't we, with Oscar? And it was kind of like, oh, yeah, well, good for him, but it doesn't count type thing.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because it feels like it's been so long since Lewis has been on the top step of the podium anyway, that it genuinely was just quite nice to see that kind of happen so soon, and I think kind of provide people with a bit of encouragement, the fact that there is a bit of life about that team as well. So hopefully it's something that they can kind of build on and take forward. But I do see what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not, it's kind of like winning the lottery, but without the bonus ball. So you get like kind of, you kind of go, yes, I've won the lottery. And they go, yeah, well, 38,000 of you did as well. So it's worth £25. But if you'd have got the bonus ball, you'd have been sitting on 33 million right now.
Yeah.
Still good, but...
There were warm fuzzies, absolutely. Yeah. And that's, for me, as a sort of... I'm not a Hamilton fan. Not that I'm not a Hamilton fan, but I'm apathetic towards Hamilton and Ferrari. So, I mean, I would have rathered that than... Russell win or something. If it's not going to be one of my McLaren boys, then to be fair, and I'm going to say this now, I don't know if I touched on this last week, kind of becoming an RB fan. I don't know where this has come from, but I've found myself actively rooting for the running bulls, the racing bulls, the rubbity bubbities.
Were they raging? Wait, I thought they were raging bulls.
The rubbity bubbities. I'm finding myself actively seeking them out on timing sheets and going, how's Isaac getting on? Where's my boy Yuki? And I don't know why, but I'm in. I'm so in.
Yeah, so what happens next week or when Japan rolls around and Yuki's not there anymore?
I support half the team and I support Isaac. No, to be fair, this has kind of happened accidentally for both of us, I think. This anti-Lawson sentiment that I don't really have any ill will against Liam Lawson. And it's just sort of, I've found myself and this is I think a media thing as well. I always find myself rooting against him a little bit. It's like at the back end of Checo's life in Formula One.
Yeah.
It started to feel like everyone was actively rooting against the guy because it became a little bit funny and a little bit memey, and you wanted another chapter in the meme. Yeah. And I worry that that's kind of happening with Lawson. That, like, I don't know why. I have no reason to not want him to succeed, and it would make the racing better if we brought another car into that top 8. I don't know what it is.
I think all it's done really is confirmed what we thought we already knew, if that makes sense. Like, Checo wasn't bad.
He didn't suddenly forget how to drive. I think we had an exact thing on this pod where we said the bloke's not suddenly forgotten how the car works.
But what's happened over the last 2 weeks is Liam sat in there and just confirmed the fact that thing is an absolute pig.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. And the thing is, and this is where I get a bit stuck with, I don't know, do you want to just go straight into this Liam Yuki thing? Because we're on it now. But this is the thing that I'm stuck with. It kind of feels like that is such a poison chalice now to go and sit in that second car that it could be a career ender. Liam Lawson's Formula One career, okay, fine. If he swaps, he's going to go and sit in that sister car, and that's going to see him through to the end of the season, and they'll probably keep him back. But how many youngsters have Red Bull got coming through the ranks that are going to just bump him off later down? Because he, relatively speaking, he's not even that young of a lad, is he now? Not compared to the likes of the Kimmies and the Isaacs, etc., that are kicking about. So his proper Formula One career could be dead after 2 races because that car is an absolute dog show to drive.
Yeah, 100%.
And Yuki's going to adopt the same thing.
Yeah, I'm scared for Yuki Tsunoda because it is, and a lot of what I talk about in life is I communicate through old school Simpsons memes, and it's just the long mustached Christian Horner in that shop, and little Yuki's come in, and Horner's like, "Hey, take this seat, but beware, it carries a terrible curse. But it comes with a free Frogurt." And it's like, I don't want my guy Yuki getting a free Frogurt because the Frogurt also contains potassium benzoate. And that's also bad. And I just...
Worst case scenario, it's been made with off milk. You're going to get the shits.
Yuki's obviously a very good driver. He has done good things in that car. From what we've seen so far, the Racing Bull is a well put together upper midfield car. It's drivable. It's not slow. If you're a good driver, you will get stuff out of it. And we've seen that with both a rookie and Yuki. The Short King team delivering goods.
Great way to save weight as well.
Oh, tremendously. I just worry, that he goes and sits in that team, and much like Liam, and to a certain extent, much like Checo, although I think there is a factor as well that Checo was, 61 years old or whatever Checo is now as well. Like it is a bit old dog new tricks with that, I think. But he has a really high chance of going and sitting in that seat, and your headspace has to be bad, surely. I
think so, yeah.
You've got to know that seat is poisoned. You have to know about the potassium benzoate, I think.
Yes, but I don't know whether you sit there as a competitor and go, I could be the one that changes it.
It's just, I can fix her.
Pretty much, yeah. It kind of feels like that kind of thing. But the other thing as well is, like you said, that V-Carb Racing Bulls RB Junior team, whatever it's called, it's a midfield car. It's good. Oh, great result in Q3 as Yuki sticks it at P7. And if he's then in a blue car instead of a white car, Yuki crosses the line in Q3 and goes P7. That's another disappointing result for the second Red Bull car then, because Max is qualified on the front row and Yuki's 4 rows back, and that is where it's such a hiding for nothing, really, I think, in that second Red Bull car, particularly where it's been so apparent the fact that they're only interested in one bloke as well. Like, you've got do you reckon? I reckon in a technical meeting, I'm not even convinced the second Red Bull driver even goes.
Well, I mean, he's not going to add anything, is he?
Exactly. Do you think we could just change? Sorry, who said that?
Who gave you the password for the Zoom?
Liam. Get out, Liam. Kick him out now.
just cracking the door slightly and just peering in.
I don't know. The other guy as well that's kind of heads on the chopping block, as was well rumoured before the season started, is old Doohan.
Yeah, who just stop hitting people, Jack. That's not helping you right now.
No.
I don't know if you saw that on the broadcast, but geez, I mean, talk about a bad lockup at a bad time with a bad outcome. The bloke's got himself 4 penalty points in one weekend. And I know that he's basically condensing them because he's like, well, I might as well use them all up now before I get there. But the writing was already on the wall, and I think they're sort of stenciling over the writing again now, and they keep throwing Colapinto's name up, and then Red Bull are talking about Colapinto now. They think they want him, which which might be a little bit of a dummy pit call, maybe to get something to move. I don't know. I don't know really why they care. They might actually want him, and maybe that's why the chat of Colapinto in for Doohan is up again, because Alpine are maybe going, oh, crikey, okay, well, we best lock our boy in. Let's put a ring on it before he
but it's
looks
not like
elsewhere.
Red Bull want Doohan.
No.
So, I mean, if they locked in Colapinto, it just means Red Bull don't get Colapinto.
That's what I mean, though. Are they concerned about losing Colapinto, that they're going to lock him in? But
mate, if Red Bull change, which I think I am in complete, not favour, that's the wrong way. I think is the way they're going to go.
Yeah.
They're only going to go for Tsunoda.
Yeah.
I also think option.
There's an element that, this sounds bad, but I don't think Red Bull care about Yuki Tsunoda, that they can't lose with him.
Yeah.
Because if they put Yuki Tsunoda in the car and he performs in the same way that Lawson and Perez did, they didn't want him anymore anyway. It's kind of the Toy Story scene where they don't want to play with Woody anymore, and they're kind of done with him because they're growing up. That if we're to be believed, I don't know if he's out of contract at the end of this year, possibly Yuki, or he's certainly not super safe, I don't think.
Yes, when Red Bull's partnership with Honda
kind
of comes towards an end, which I think is for the 26 regs, isn't it? When they kind of start going with Ford.
Have they almost got nothing to lose from their side, that they can swap them over because, well, we don't want to play with you at the end of this year anymore anyway. So if we put you in and you're as bad as Liam has been, well, we're not going to lose sleep over dumping you, and then Liam can hopefully get better in that one, and then Liam comes back in for 26 and we go again. That is he a little bit of a sacrificial lamb, possibly?
Maybe.
Or he could come in, he could win the Bastard Championship, and let's go short King Yuki.
That would be quite cool.
Also that.
Right. So we've had 2 rounds.
We've had 2 rounds.
With these 2 drivers, Liam and with Jack, which round do you think, if at all, either one of these teams are going to make the call?
If they do it, they do it now. If they're going to do it,
both.
If they're going to do it,
and Lawson.
No, sorry,
don't race for their teams.
No, the Red Bull.
Japan.
Red Bull. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it now. And if they don't do it now, he's got until at least the summer break, because they're either going to double down and they're going to say, okay, you're new, you're 12 years old, you're not really, you're 25 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you time. We're going to back you in here. Get used to it. Or they're going to go, lovely story, Yuki, Japan, promotion. We've got nothing to lose by doing it now. Doohan, I think, is probably, I'm still maybe looking towards that European leg that we were looking at initially. Because I don't think there's the same urgency at Alpine, that they're not... Doohan is not costing them a load of potential points. It's not as if Gasly's P5ing it and Doohan is P18. Those
Round
cars
5,
are both pretty average.
He could be costing them a lot of money, though.
If he keeps banging into people, yeah.
Saudi Arabia is round 5, and Saudi Arabia is known for fairly pricey accidents.
But as much as Colapinto is the podcast driver of choice, he didn't mind a bust up last year as well. When he was, admittedly, he was probably pushing it real hard, as Doohan is, because he wants to impress. But he didn't mind. Yeah. He didn't mind some dollars on that car. But yeah, what about you? What do you think for both of them?
Doohan, I think, has got a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Because, as you said, I don't necessarily think Alpine are in to do anything other than exist. Red Bull, they're already... What are the Constructors' Championships at the minute? Where are we? Can I see the standings on here? I don't want to see that. I don't know. Surely on the F1 website, there's got to be something fairly obvious to figure out who's leading the championship. Team standings.
They're
Boom.
third.
They're third.
They're third in front of, by the way,
Yeah.
Williams, let's go.
they're 42 points behind McLaren after 2 weekends. They haven't got many more weekends before 42 points turns into 100 plus. And then it's like we need 4 weekends then to catch up to McLaren without McLaren scoring points. And that, I think, is where if they're serious about winning the Constructors, they have to do it, and they have to do it now. Which I think is a bit unfair to Liam, because whether should he even have been put in the seat in the first place, I don't know. But there we go.
We should probably say well done, Oscar Piastri, as well. What a mature drive, and just a clinical, composed. Okay, once you're out in front, I think in China, the clean air and lack of drag and stuff, you can kind of set the pace. But he didn't cough the entire Sunday. Lovely move into, and I think actually in the cool-down room, George Russell complimented him on. It was a perfect defense through that T1, T2, because it just let Lando into second. Because George couldn't do anything. It was wonderfully legal, and it's just the nature of that corner at the start of the race. It just really good. Really good. Well done.
Yeah, superb. He won by, nearly 10 seconds?
Yeah, probably. Realistically, 4 if Lando had brakes by the end of it. Which, one thing on that as well, I've seen a lot of chat. I don't claim to know the absolute ins and outs, technically, of a Formula One car. But there was a lot of chat of, why didn't the FIA step in? If a car's got no brakes, they should be it's dangerous. Why don't they make them stop? It's like, I don't think people realize the stopping power of an F1 car pre-brakes. The aero drag on an F1 car probably matches me slamming the brakes on in my road car. You take your foot off the accelerator in an F1 car, you're not hitting that wall in the safety testing. You're stopping up pretty short of that. And he had some brakes. He just didn't have racing brakes anymore.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is comparing it to a road car. You drive a road car with the expectation to stop.
Yeah.
You don't drive the Formula One car with an expectation to stop. You're not coming across many roundabouts, are you? Where you've got to give way, or like Doris,
you're always going
the
same
traffic
direction,
lights and stuff like that. You're going round. You've got 10 seconds in front of you. You've got 10 seconds behind you, which at that speed is quite a lot. And you can kind of, as you say, lift off and drag yourself around the corners and stuff. Yeah, would it have been closer? Maybe. Kind of feels like a nice result for McLaren, that, because they kind of told Oscar to behave last weekend, and then Oscar's been able to win the second one. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens in that team this year, because they're the two kind of outriders by a distance at the minute, and poor old Zaki boy is going to have a bit of a headache, I think, if these two end up going ding dong with one another, because I don't think either of them want to give, do they?
No, and it's more awkward now, because last year Piastri, and again, it's 2 rounds in, we are making assumptions based on a very wet random race and one proper Grand Prix. Oscar wasn't quite there last year. That it was much easier to bet on Norris as your number one driver, because you could see that Oscar was just a half step behind, and Lando had that head start. I know I said 2 episodes ago, I think it's wrong that Piastri is allegedly being paid the same as Norris, and I will still stand by that. But I would say this year, on the evidence we've seen so far, Piastri is now maybe a quarter step behind, if that, in terms of the way they're going about it, that it's a far harder sell to... You don't now look at it that it's senior, junior out of those two. They're both kind of, head boy, halfway between the students and the teachers kind of level now.
I think it's very close to being a complete 50-50 between the two of them. I think
it's going to be great to watch. But...
one weekend's going to suit one more than the other one, and I think that's kind of where we're going to see these kind of natural splits. And the other thing as well is these cars, as we've said, they don't follow each other very well. So 10 seconds is he's beating him by 10 seconds, but 10 seconds also is kind of an area where you can get to where you can kind of go, okay, fine, I don't have to worry about overheating the front tyres. I don't have to worry about... Because I can't overtake him anyway. That's kind of... And you just potter around 10 seconds behind, and you pick up your points and you go home. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for those two. Could we do with another one up there? Probably. But
hey, we've got one up there. And this leads in wonderfully to our next one, because we've got one.
Yeah.
But George Russell's invisible at the minute.
Yeah.
Did you know that George Russell's racing in 2025? Because
I'd heard of him.
He's finished 3rd again, and 4th in the sprint. And I don't think I've seen that bloke's face or his car at any point so far in 2025. He's got his little Harry Potter invisibility cloak on, and he's just cracking on and getting the job done. I mean, where is George Russell?
Well, P3 in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
What a guy.
It must be the most
35 points.
inconspicuous P3 there's ever been.
I mean, there's been a few inconspicuous results over the course of the weekend, which we'll talk about soon, won't we, with a couple of DNFs. But yeah, Mercedes, George in particular, Mercedes seem to have kind of done something there, haven't they? To kind of, are they the best of that next batch of 3 teams? I don't know. Or Ferrari kind of cocked it, didn't they, in Melbourne, gambling for the big win. So
I would say,
really
though,
see it?
Possibly Mercedes might be, and this is kind of coming back to the Red Bull Racing Bulls thing as well. Maybe Mercedes is the second fastest car on average, in the sense that Ferrari might be, when it all clicks, the second fastest car, but they are having to really go to the edge to be the second fastest car.
Yeah.
I think maybe that Mercedes is not quite as quick if we're absolute maximum revs 100%, but over 24 races is maybe the faster,
And
more
56
drivable,
laps
easier listening car, perhaps. But fair play, George Russell.
Good on him. Good on him. Good on him.
I've got some other fair plays before we get into DSQ City.
Okay, yeah.
Ollie Behrman, what a weekend.
Yeah, he's your rookie of the
He's my
the
boy,
year, isn't he? He's the guy that you're investing in. He went well. The Haas feels and looks like a bit of a pig, doesn't it? To be honest with you, so
It looked very different this weekend, though, compared to last weekend.
For him to have kind of a nice little run around and have a few little cheeky overtakes here and there. He didn't get any points, did he? But I mean, he looked good for no points. Or did he get points?
He got points. They got double points, mate.
They did get double points up the Haas.
He got no points on the road. He inherited some
context.
points. I think he would have finished P. Oh, did he sneak into P10?
He might have been PT. I think he was P10 with a couple of discs. No, tres discs.
Tres discs and a dumph.
But I don't know where Pierre Gasly actually finished. Whether he was in the points or out of the points. Probably out of the points in an Alpine, let's be honest. So 2 point scoring discs, which put Behrman in. Yeah, it was nice. He just looks like he's just such a child, isn't he? He's such a child, and
He's the most rookie-looking of all the rookies by a distance. Oh, Antonelli, maybe.
I don't know. He makes
Antonelli's more
Antonelli look
tanned.
like
I think the
an old
tan
guy,
helps.
I think.
The olive bronzed skin looks less rookie, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't really age that much, does it? Like Valentino Rossi, the motorbike rider. He still looks the same when he started.
He looks a bit like Antonelli, full stop, to be honest.
He does, to be fair, yeah. Which is what I assume is what Antonelli's going to end up looking like at the end of his career as well, or towards the end of it. Yeah, good for him. Good for Antonelli. Another good result for my kind of rookie of the year. Do we want to talk about the discs? I mean, it's technical shit that we don't really understand.
Yeah. It's technical shit we don't really understand. It's the short answer. So couple of boys are a little bit too light on the end of it. You could argue this is maybe a tyre wear thing because they were all thinking 2-stopper and then it became a 1-stopper. But we're also talking a kilo out of an 800 kilo weight limit. So the percentages and the margins are so fine. And it's the same with Lewis Hamilton that he was 0.5 millimetre too worn on his plank. And just pause for a second and appreciate how much 0.5 millimetre is. But then also,
some would like an extra 0.5 millimetre.
Percentage-wise, 0.5 millimetre out of, I think, a 9 millimetre plank allowance, and he was at 8.5 millimetre. Percentage-wise, that it gets bigger. It's such a fractionally small number, but actually, it's quite a large thing. But yeah, I mean, they sort of copped it on the chin, didn't they? And went, it wasn't necessarily us trying to gain, and I don't think it was them trying to gain a ridiculous competitive advantage. It might have been something to do with the PSI change between the sprint and the Grand Prix proper. They might have had to make some ride height changes when they came out of Parc Ferme and something. But
how difficult it is, like for Leclerc when he ran around that entire race pretty much without with one of his end plates missing. I know that's not a kilo. It's
30 points of downforce he lost apparently.
I don't know what that equates to in actual weight, but like if you lose that, do they get to bolt on a new wing? They do.
You can fix the car part firme like for like before it gets weighed.
So you could just leave a spanner in one of the little kind of duck thingies and just go, oh yeah, no, it was there all along. It's fine.
Can they put a spanner in Yuki's front wing that just decided it didn't fancy it anymore and just offed itself halfway down a back straight?
It sounds like they should have offered the front wing a spanner before they let it go out on the circuit and done some of those bolts up. But
I've never seen that before.
He won't be driving that crock of shit next week anyway. He'll be in the big boy car.
Yeah.
Running
I've never seen that. I've never seen a front wing break on the inside, like the bit that joins the nose break off before.
They were kind of saying, weren't they, that like obviously you do all these simulation tests and stuff, but you don't really know what that's going to look like until you kind of put it under actual load. It's a bit like those kind of flexy wings that go up and down. And I think even this time around, I saw a clip. It was Max's Red Bull, and as the acceleration went, the front wings kind of just went just a little bit. But again, technical shit that I don't understand. It's going to accelerate up to about 200 miles an hour. There's obviously a fair amount of air resistance in there, which is going to create some weight.
Yeah.
To have things like utterly immovable objects is going to be a completely ridiculous thing. So how they kind of figure out as to what is the right load to be able to go through it and what is too much load to be able to go through it and how much it moves based on the back of a GoPro that somebody's kind of bolted on the top of the car that they may or may not have put an SD card in. It's a judge as to whether it bends too much seems crazy to me. But yeah.
It is what it is. Got to have rules, don't you, at the end of the day? Which is something that's a comment I saw with the Hamilton DSQ, where they're like, yes, it's 0.5 millimeter, but also you have to draw the line somewhere. Otherwise, it's only 0.5 millimeter. Oh, it's only a millimeter. It's only 0.5 millimeter. It's only 0.5 millimeter over the millimeter. I was like, it's like you have to eventually. You got to have a boundary.
It's only 5 kilos.
Like, round it up. You know, it's like if you don't have a hard line, you might as well not have the rule.
Yeah.
So
it's black and white.
Very quickly. Williams, well done. I mean, they're now P4 in the Drivers' Championship. They've gone a double points weekend. I'll be honest with you. Carlos Sainz looks absolutely nowhere at the minute, which, unlike Liam being nowhere and, Doohan being nowhere and stuff, I think people have a lot more time and a lot more leniency that it's an entirely new setup change and it's a car that's not a Ferrari anymore, and he will probably come good. But Albon, let's go. Leading the Grand Prix at one point, pre-pitting. Leading the Grand Prix at one point.
I tipped him a little bit. I said, like, it's one of those circuits that tyre wear is a bit dodgy around Shanghai, and like someone like an Albon could go and do well this weekend. I know he picked up a few little garbage time bonus points there, but I think even if he'd have finished 9th, I still think that would have been a pretty good weekend, I think, for Williams. So, hey, I know my onions. Can we just get this, the final thing, can we just get this lap down championship out of the way?
Let's talk about the standings.
Let's just get it out of the way, because it's fair to say those that listen to the pre-China podcast will realise the fact that I think I'd describe it as a slightly uphill task, having been drawn Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon in comparison to your Lando Norris and Sir Maximilian Verstappen. And I'll be honest with you, and when I looked at it, you've absolutely wiped the floor with me. I picked up 10 points, you scored 37, and now the current standing is 27 points to me, 47 points to you. So you've got a 20-point lead after 2 rounds. But there's obviously 22 races to go. It's all completely random. It's unlikely to be an utter blowout if it is completely random, but in equal measure, there's every chance.
Who knows?
I would say, looking at this, I am not happier, but I reckon I've got 10 more points than what I thought I was going to have. And I think you've probably got half a dozen less points than what you thought you were going to have over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, recovery drive from you, very good. Very good recovery drive.
I'd still rather have you 37 points. But
if Lando hadn't have got himself on the grass and shat the bed in the sprint, it looks a lot worse. But no, hey, it's the wheel giveth, the wheel taketh away, as we learned. And the wheel will be back next week for...
No, a week after. We got a week off.
Yeah, the week off and then back. We do have as well, that I shouldn't forget, and we will wrap up with this. We have an email to get to, Dan. We have a message.
One.
We have a message, and if you'd like to send us an email, you absolutely can as well. You can email lapdownpod@gmail.com, or you could just pop it on a comment or something. We'll read it. Yeah. Slide our DMs. Why not? Andrew's in the DMs, and Andrew has a sprint format related question. Just a general one.
Okay. Is this a question as in it's a suggestion on how to make it better, or a question as in why do they do it?
Because no, this is a what if we tried this with the sprints?
Okay, I like that. Cool. Because if it was the latter of the two, you've asked the two wrong blokes, and you should probably go and send it off to somebody else. But go on, hit us.
Andrew's
What's
idea.
Cooking?
Andrew has suggested. What would you think about a requirement to be drivers must be under a maximum number of race starts in order to participate in the sprint? So this is a kind of a spin, I guess, on the idea of like the end of year rookie race.
Yeah.
Do you make sprints an exhibition style event perhaps, and that it's where teams would be able to use their third driver or a rookie driver or something like that, as opposed to it being part of the championship?
As a separate championship.
Oh, it could be anything. Andrew's not specified his points allocations here, so I'm sort of throwing it open that I think it would have to be separate. For me, if you're going to go with it, it needs to almost become a little bit like F1 Academy 2 sort of thing, that it runs alongside, it's supported by, but it's not part of.
I think sport without context and consequence is really hard to sell. So I think if it has no relevance to anything, I think that becomes a really tough sell. Yeah. Other than just because the other thing as well is we know what happened. They'll just use it as a testing session. Mm-hmm. There's no benefit to the team to put cars out there. There's no pride in winning the races. You don't get any points for it. It's not going to help you win the next layer of millions of pounds in the Constructors' Championship at the end of the year, which 1 or 2 points here or there could do by the time Abu Dhabi rolls around. So I think that it would have to have some form of... But then would it just end up looking a bit more like a Formula 2 race with those kind of characters in there?
I guess in theory, by the time they would be here...
Bottas is Mercedes' third driver, so they could race their
too many race starts.
That's what I mean.
But then in that case, Mercedes would be able to run Antonelli because he would have under the required number of race starts. Yeah. They'd have to go and find someone else, but Antonelli would be able to run because he would be under the required amount of race starts.
I can see which way the cogs have been turning in Andrew's brain to come up with this thought. I just don't like it.
There you go. Suck it, Andrew. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. I'm much like you. I can see. I think it just falls down as you started trying to plan it in your head there. You can see where the issues start coming in, because it does become, we already have the F2 feature race, which is usually run over sprint distance, I think. Anyway, it's only like 21 laps or something like that. So, but that possibly does raise the question of, should Formula One, Liberty, FIA, whoever, be doing more with Formula 2? I know the real diehards will watch Formula 2.
Yeah.
I'm quite a diehard of F1. I'm not watching Formula 2. Like, I've tried a couple of times, but I find it quite hard to get into because it's so separate. And it sounds a little bit dumb, but I don't know who anyone is. I don't know who most of the teams are. There seems to be like 18 Red Bull drivers in a field of 15. Like, it's a tricky thing to watch as a casual. That do they maybe need to do a little bit more with that, possibly. But
maybe.
There you go.
I like it.
Cool. We've reached the checkered flag of this podcast, which is going to let me have one last moan about checkered flags. We need to do something about checkered flag waving at Grand Prix, because the utter disgrace of, I'm not even going to call it a flag wave, the flag hold that we saw at the Chinese Grand Prix. I've got no issue with celebrities doing it. In fact, that can be quite fun. Get a local celebrity from that race area, not a problem, right? Show them how to wave a fucking flag and make sure they wave the flag properly. Hold auditions for the checkered flag waving, and if they can't show that they know how to put a bit of razzle-dazzle into that fabric, then they don't get to do it. Too bad. Try harder. Don't just stand there and...
With whoever did it this weekend, they were relying on some form of like Category 3 hurricane to be blowing down that start-finish straight to kind of do the work for them. As it was a still summer's day in Shanghai, and literally, I mean, they might as well just stuck it. They might as well just gaffer taped it to the side of the wall, haven't they? And
horrific. But I just
when you're getting freebies and you're getting hospitality and all this other shit, at least pretend like you want to be there, because there'll be millions of people that would give their left bollock for the opportunity just to be there.
And also,
it's not even wave the flag.
You said this to me before when I sort of joked about giving them some training. You went, what do they need training for? Everybody knows how to wave a flag. You hold the stick and you jiggle it. Like, how hard is jiggling? That they need to sort it out, because it's supposed to be your big marquee moment. And you see, like, NASCAR, when you've got the dude who's not a celebrity absolutely losing his mind with both of them at once.
And
there's a proper technique to it, and it's rhythmic and it's engaging. More of that in Formula One, please. More of that. Or if the celebrities can't do it, bin the celebrities off. They can stand next to the person and get proper flag waving Peter in, and let flag waving Peter do it properly.
Imagine that being your full-time job.
What do you do? Wave the flag? Well, there's someone whose full-time job it is to press the starter thing. Like, that's someone's role at the FIA, is to press the go button.
Because the thing is, it's automatic after that. So it's not like you'd have to time the button twice. Because if you had to time the button twice, I reckon I'd back myself to fuck that up.
I don't think it is anymore. I think they got rid of that.
You just literally have to go, boop.
And then let go of it when you're ready to start them. Like,
imagine going that for like a second interview somewhere when you wanted to do a career change. You go, so we see your role working with Formula One. What is it that you did? Okay, well, I did this, right?
Logistics, engineering, or...
Yeah, and how would that role see you fit into our organisation?
Be very good for working at a petrol station where they have to turn the pump on when you pull it a couple of times.
That would be good. It would be a bit of a downgrade, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. We assume so. Less travel.
Less travel, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to be at home a bit more, but...
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Hey, that was the Chinese Grand Prix.
Love it.
That was the Chinese Grand Prix. So we will be back next week. Probably a midweeky next week, perhaps.
Yeah, because Lawson will be sacked by then anyway, so we'll have a headline.
There'll be something to talk about there. In the meantime, Lapdown Pod on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. You can go and watch some clips there. And if you want to have a little thought or an idea that you send our way, like Andrew did, lapdownpod@gmail.com, slide a DM, leave a comment, do whatever you want, leave a review, and go watch Dan play cricket over on...
At Dan Jads.
There it is. That's that one. YouTube and other socials and all the rest of it.
What gamings are you playing at the moment?
Playing with beavers at the minute. Playing Timberborn.
Well, if you want to do that, go and follow whatever Alex is going to say next.
Alex. There it is.
I mean, if you're under the age of 18, probably best to not go and watch Alex play with beavers. But on that, see you next week.
That'll do us. Bye.